When we read the story of the prodigal son in the book of Luke, chapter 15, verses 11 to 31, to be specific, verse 17 and 18 says, "When he came to his senses, he said, 'How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, I have sinned against heaven and against you.'" Most people don't just get the real message. Some of the people reading this story over and over again will just pity the young man as their lives drift away to hopelessness financially and in many areas of life. This son had come to his senses and he realized he was clearly wasting time. He had reached a breaking point, suffering unbearable pain. He decided this type of life was unacceptable. He wrote down his options and decided the way forward. This life was strangling him to death, trusting that if he humbled himself, his father would take him back. Analyzing this whole process, it is not as easy road to follow. Change for better is not as easy as it sounds. I know of people who had to make very painful decisions in order to come out of difficult situations. Years later, something changed permanently. Someone could be working in an organization which does not promise growth worthy standing. Those who came before them are singing one song, suffering and stagnating. What is it that you are waiting for? Are you waiting to grow old and doing nothing about this? Bills and other expenses are waiting for you and you are feeling helpless. This organization will not change its rules for you. You have the power to map out a strategy to change job or start own company. You have what it takes. Living in defeat can only cause you more pain. Better the pain of taking a risk seeking better life than being saved dying slowly. You know your blood. You know you belong to higher calling. Bare minimum and mourning is not your style. Quality is your second name, and you are not shy to say it. You are not glued to stay in an environment where there is no tomorrow. You can't blend in because your very makeup is not on survival mode. The employer of this prodigal son appointed a boy who was in distress because that's where there was a vacancy. This employer could never guess the background of this hungry, sharp young man. The only one who realized such jobs of feeding pigs was not for people like him was the young man. Those who spend years doing small things for the sake of safety don't have the energy to question why they accepted minimum living. As years went by, they forgot that they were gifted to do more. Risking for more can ignite your dreams to greater possibilities. People waste years expecting to be redeemed from themselves by those they look up to, but nothing happens. Breaking point becomes the opportunity to do a thorough soul searching. That moment when you cannot take it anymore becomes your moment to ask yourself hard questions. You cannot continue to bury your head in the sand. That emptiness goes to a whole new level, and if you don't do something about it, life deteriorates to a place you cannot retrieve it for better. There will be nothing to salvage if you don't take a timely decision. In the same chapter 15, verse 15 and 16 says, "So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pawns that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. You can imagine that, like many of us, when we are in dire need of food, we go out and get any job that is available. There is nothing wrong with this move, but the problem is that we settle down to this small place so long and we start longing for pig food. What I'm saying here is that some of us don't realize how many years we have settled for this job of feeding pigs and not being able to live dignified life. Waking daily to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We even explain our loved ones that this is the life they must bear because that's how much we can afford. We tell them we have done our level best, but we offer them less than basic needs. With your kind of credentials, opportunities are beckoning out there as we have seen. Verse 20 says, "But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his own son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him." Those who dare dream sooner than later realize how much opportunity they have wasted at the pig farms. Some people are just too careful eating pig food because they believe this is the life they were destined to live. They blame others for their predicament. What would a pig farmer do even if the employee is not satisfied with his job? You applied and got the job, and when the salary for that job was offered, you never asked questions. Leave and let the less qualified do the job and go look where your qualifications will add value to your life. I repeat here again, the pig farmer did nothing wrong to offer a hungry young man the job, nor did he realize this boy had a very wealthy father. The farmer was convinced he had the right man for the right job. Coming to our senses is not something most people want to face. The reality is too painful. We tell ourselves this is not happening to us, but that's just a lie. We shield ourselves from the truth because reality is not what we are ready to accept. We even make believe that those close to us cannot see our suffering, but they see it. The beauty of coming to our senses is that some people have time to face the reality and take stock of what brought them to the lowest point. They are able to gather courage to bring semblance of normalcy to their lives. No one, not even the father to the prodigal son, had the power to bring his son to his senses. The man went through painful moments which he could not ignore any longer. How well is your CEO? Is he a person going places? Is he a good mentor and that you want to be like him in 10 years or so? How about those who got here before you? Are they going places or are they talking of what they don't like all the time? I repeat here again, you can choose to continue in the chorus or live for better life. Take control over your life not only in financial matters, but also in everything you are. Stop telling people what is going wrong with your life. You are the only person who can do something to live a dignified life. You know your level of education. You know your background. You know what is acceptable and what's not as far as your life is concerned. You can clearly see this is not where you belong. The only problem is that you are not willing to think of options given the dire situation. You are afraid of leaving the status quo because you don't know what is on the other side. But no one will penalize you for applying for a better job while you are still doing what you do. Nobody will ask you why you are thinking of own company while you are working for them. There will always be a person to replace you when you leave. I don't think the pig farmer got completely grounded when the young man left for his rich father's home. Plan your exit carefully, and before you know it, your life will be changed to unimaginable levels. Stop setting the bar so low just because someone else is doing so. You know you can do better. You cannot go down looking after pigs.